Donald Goins, a Kenyatta novel, Crime Partners, Chapter 11. It was a small convoy that drove out of town. There were 6 carloads of men and women traveling to enjoy the party. Billy and Jackie rode along with Carol. She sat in the middle while Billy did the driving. Kenyatta was driving the lead car with Betty, and another couple made use of the back seat. They hadn't been driving over an hour before Kenyatta pulled off the freeway and headed down a two-way highway. The houses began to get farther and farther apart until nothing more than an occasional farmhouse could be seen. Kenyatta turned off the paved road and led them down a dirt one. The dust coming off his tires was so heavy that at times Billy could hardly see ahead. Finally, the lead car turned into a pathway that led up a large white farmhouse. As the men gazed out the windows, they could see people coming out to the 6 smaller houses that surrounded the large white framed one. People were everywhere, smiling and waving as they drove up. "Those little houses are for the married couples," Carol informed them. "Hey baby, are my eyes playing tricks on me, or are those really cows I see back there behind the buildings?" Jackie asked curiously. "Yeah, honey, they're cows, and we've also got some pigs and chickens on the place," Carol answered with a note of pride in her voice. "We?" Billy remarked with sarcasm. "You mean to say you believe Kenyatta will share this shit with the rest of you?" "You don't have to believe it if you don't want to, Billy, but everything on this place belongs to everybody in the organization. Anyone who wants to move can move out here and live rent-free. Where else can a black person stay rent-free, food-free, and everything else free? When they eat pig, you eat pig. That's why I say it's ours. If I want to, I can move out here for the rest of my life. No more worry about rent and the rest of that shit that bugs the ordinary person in the city." "It sounds good, honey. Now all you got to do is talk Jackie into joining up and moving out here with you, and you can relax for the rest of your life." Funny, funny, funny. You know, Billy, I never realized in all this time that you were a real funny guy, Jackie said with no humor in his voice. "Now, don't you two start fussing. It ain't nothing wrong with what he said, Jackie. If you and I were to move out here, what would be so bad about it?" She glanced over at him, her eyes large and shining. "Well, honey, when you put it like that, I can't see anything wrong with it," Jackie replied. Billy smiled encouragingly as they got out of the car. "Find me a girl like Betty, Carol, and I'd gladly move out here with her." It might have been said in a joking manner, but she could read the seriousness in his voice. "He's really got a case on Betty," she thought silently, as she took both men's arms and led them up the path towards the house. People were waving and calling out to her as they got closer and closer to the farmhouse until she had to release them so she could wave at friends. "Everybody does look healthy and happy," Jackie stated as he examined the faces they passed. "I mean, these guys and gals really look like they dig this country life. Why do you think so many of our members are out here on the farm instead of back in the city or at our club?" she asked seriously. "I thought they were out here going through some kind of training," Billy replied. "Some of them are, but most of them are finished with that jive and they'd rather stay out here than back there. You just have to stay out here to understand it, man. You don't have no police harassment, and for a black man, that is something in itself. A man can completely forget the color of his skin out here. It don't make no difference if you're black or green. Don't nobody bother you about it. Whereas back in the city, a black man is constantly on his guard because of white pigs fucking with him." "Hey young lady, that's strong language for one so tiny," Jackie warned her, holding her arm tightly. She smiled up at him. "Okay, sweet man, I'm warned. I won't forget I'm a lady again, okay?" He grinned. "That's something you could never forget, honey, that you're a lady. It's all over you. There's nothing you can do about it." Carol stopped and introduced them to some people. then led them towards the rear of the house, where the wonderful smells were coming from. In the back, there was an open barbecue pit with ribs piled high on it. Next to it were smaller pits with chickens and steaks cooking. An open tub was filled with beer cans and unopened bottles of wine. It's not every day that they have a party out here, so they're going to really let their hair down, Carol warned as she took them by the arm and steered them towards the house. Tell me something, Carol. Ain't all the girls spoken for out here? Billy asked. No way, she answered quickly. You see that little house over there? She said, and pointed her finger to show where she was talking about. Well, that's where the single girls stay until they find a man they like and choose him. You'd be surprised just how many free ladies there are out here. I'd say at least 5 or 6 anyway. 5 or 6, huh? Well, that ain't too many, Billy replied seriously. Well, how many do you need? I think one would be enough if you could find the right one, Carol stated, getting angry with him, but not wanting to show it. She opened the back door and shoved them through. In the kitchen, 2 women were busy handling pots and pans. Hi, Jean, Connie, she called out quickly. She quickly introduced her 2 escorts to the women, then continued on. Billy glanced back at the cute brown-skinned girl called Connie. Hey, man, I really like what I seen just then, he stated. Carol just grinned and continued to lead them through the house. She took them upstairs and showed them the bedrooms. You have to stay out here quite a while before you can get one of those, she said. These generally go to the people who work on the place and aren't going back to the city for quite a while. There's a long list of people waiting for them. When they came back downstairs, Betty had a tall, dark-complected woman with her. She hurried over to them. Hey, I got somebody for you to meet. This is Joy. Joy, the little short one, is Billy. And that tall guy happens to be Carol's love of life. His name is Jackie. She stayed with them for a few minutes, then departed. Joy took Billy's arm and they started walking around the farm. It was late evening before they ran into Kenyatta. With him was a tall, dark man whose head was as clean-shaven as Kenyatta's. As the 2 men stood in the firelight of the bonfires, they looked to be brothers, but as one got near them, it was obvious that the clean-shaven heads were the only thing that the men had in common. Both men were tall, but where Kenyatta had a heavy beard, Ali, the brother next to him, had none. Both men had heavy black mustaches, yet there was a difference even in those. Ali's mustache came down in the style of Fu Manchu. Kenyatta noticed them near one of the large bonfires that they had made in the backyard. He came over with his companion. Hi, brothers. I hope you've been having a good time, he inquired, in the way of greeting, then continued. This big bastard next to me is Ali. I guess you could call him my right-hand man. He runs the farm for me or the club in the city whenever I'm out here. We generally switch around. One of us is always at one place or another. The men quickly shook hands. Then Kenyatta noticed the woman with Billy. I see you found the finest black woman on the farm, Miss Joy. She's really something else, Billy, Kenyatta said as he reached out and pulled the woman over to him. He gave her a big bear hug. This is Betty's aunt, Billy, believe it or not. You can damn near tell from looking at them. They do resemble each other a little, but my woman is finer. I have to say that's a matter of opinion, Billy replied truthfully as he grabbed her arm and pulled her back towards his side of the fire. Joy did resemble Betty slightly, but she was bigger. Her nose was longer, lips wider, hips bigger, yet both women had the same walk. Billy had been overwhelmed by her since they had met, and now he was even more drawn to the woman. She was his kind of woman. He liked them tall and black. And after talking to her, he knew she was intelligent. For some reason, Joy was drawn to the short, husky man. His seriousness was not the only factor that attracted her. She knew he liked her, and not for just the thought of going to bed with her either. She could tell the man was lonely yet very choosy. He carried himself like a man, even in front of Kenyatta, where she had seen a lot of men give up their manhood unknowingly, going out of their way to be accepted by Kenyatta. That was one of the main reasons she hadn't chosen a man yet. Most of the ones she came in contact with out on the farm were followers, men who had to look up to another man to tell them what to do. She couldn't stand a man who didn't believe he was a leader. At once, she recognized this quality in Billy. He wasn't a follower, he led. She could tell that. From the way Billy and Jackie got along, Billy was actually the leader. He didn't flaunt his leadership, it just came to him. She wrapped her arms around his. Ken, you should have brought this man out here long ago. We're in dire need of men like him, she stated in a husky voice. The group of men laughed. Maybe I should have. Anyway, honey, I'm giving this small party for him and his partner, so maybe this will make up for my neglect. I hope the sheriff don't come out, Jackie said as he stared around at the huge fires burning. Seems to me one of your neighbors just might call them, seeing all these fires going. Kenyatta glanced at the bonfires. If they should show up, we can handle it. But as far as neighbors, we don't have one closer than 5 miles. They leave us alone, and we do the same. How long are we going to stay up here? Billy inquired. Why? Don't tell me you're in a hurry to get back to the city. Nah, brother, that's why I'm asking. I ain't in no hurry, Billy said seriously. He pinched Joy's arm and smiled at her. I could stay up here for the next year now. Kenyatta laughed loudly. Yeah, man, I think I understand right where you're coming from. But to answer your question, this party won't last long but a day or two. Whenever we have one, it's generally over sometime the next day. So if you're tired by then, we'll be going back. Ali spoke up for the first time. I've had the cabin over there on your right fixed up for you guys. There's 2 bedrooms inside plus a shower. So you'll have as much privacy as you could want. Good, Jackie said quickly. I was wondering if we have to sleep in the car, but because of my height, the idea of sleeping in the ride tonight didn't appeal to me. The way he said it made the small group of people laugh together. There was a feeling of warmth between them. It seemed to spread until everybody on the farm felt it. A feeling of brotherhood, black love, love for each other. As the night passed slowly, couples began to slip off into the darkness. The music coming from the house began to change. Instead of the hot, driving beat of soul that made you want to dance, it now became soft, lovers' music. Billy sat under a tree nursing a drink while holding Joy in his arms. He could feel the woman's heartbeat as he turned her towards him and kissed her slowly. Joy, I don't know how to say it, honey, but I wish I had come out here sooner and met you. It's as if a new world has opened up for me. It's hard to believe that you don't have anybody. She smiled in the darkness. Not used to jumping to conclusions, she hated to make a choice so soon, but still realized that it would have to be a quick decision. Billy, I don't even know how to begin. I can't say I'm in love, but I can tell you I'm damn interested in you. But what kind of woman would you take me for if I gave myself to you tonight? I don't want you to think I'm some sort of tramp, honey. For an answer, Billy kissed her lips until they were sealed. That's your answer, honey. How could I think anything about you except happiness? That's what you bring to me, pure happiness. Again, he kissed her slowly. Their kisses were not wild, but full of tender passion. Honey, she began, it's really too soon. How can either of us be sure? I mean, we just met. Yet, I feel as if we've known each other over the years. She removed her arms from around his neck. Billy, I just don't want to be hurt again. The last man I loved tried to take advantage of me. When he found out I really cared, he wanted to make a whore out of me. It's not that I wouldn't work for my man, it's just that I don't believe a man could really love me if he wanted me to work the streets for him. Darling, Billy began. The words sounded strange to his ears. Something like that you don't even have to worry about, Joy. I'm a man, and I think I get enough money for me and my woman. I know it's too soon to be talking about you being my lady, but give it some thought, here? For an answer, Joy stood up and took his hand. She led the way across the farmyard towards the small white cabin sitting back in the dark. The door didn't take a key. It opened when she twisted the doorknob. Inside, the cabin was dark, and Joy felt around until she found the light switch. The small bulb lit the room dimly. Joy didn't stop in the small cabin's tiny front room, which was used for a kitchen also. There were 3 other doors leading from the front. That door on your right, Billy, is the bathroom. The other door leads to the bedroom that Carol and Jackie will use. This is our room, honey, she stated in a deep voice as she pushed open the door. The bed in the room was a simple wooden one with a large mattress on it. Joy didn't waste any time about entering the room. She quickly slipped out of the blue jeans she had been wearing. Billy watched her out of the corner of his eyes. When she came out of the shirt she had on, he knew he had been right. He had sworn to himself all day that she didn't have a bra on. Now he knew he had been correct. He quickly took off his clothes. As he undressed, Joy pulled back the covers and jumped in the bed. You may not believe it, honey, but you're the first man I've had in 6 months. I came out here for about 4 months ago. Before that, I'd left my man and kept an apartment in the city on the west side with another girl. She stopped for breath, then added, So, Billy, you can say you're getting a 6-month-old cherry. Her laughter followed, low and deep, the sound of a happy woman. As Billy neared the bed, she opened her arms and stretched towards him. She gave him the feeling of being wanted. He came to her then, taking his time as he let himself down beside her. They embraced, kissing tenderly at first, then from the heat of their love more violently as their passions became aroused. A low moan escaped from Billy as an enveloping awareness overcame him. His masculinity became swollen, larger than he believed possible. It had never gotten that big. He could feel it vibrating between his legs like a plucked string, constant in its movements. When Joy's hand came under the sheet searching for his manhood, it came in contact with the steadily increasing rod. Her happy gasp of joy filled him with a joyous warmth. Billy clutched her to him tightly. It was all he could do to stop from having a premature climax. His hands fumbled under the sheet, feeling only the softness of her skin. She ain't got nothing on. The words exploded in his mind. He felt the hairs on her body, which only aroused him more. Come on, honey, she moaned in his ear. Take me. Billy, take me. It was more like an order than anything else. He wanted to take her but tried to hold back. He didn't want to come too soon. Her legs spread open and he found himself on top of her, yet not remembering ever having climbed on top of her. The first time didn't last 30 seconds. He could feel himself coming. Joy never allowed him to stop. He came, screaming out silently against her neck. She pushed up against him, forcing him to stay in her. Her hips moved, grinding and twisting until he could feel himself growing again. The second time was more controlled. This time, Billy knew what he was doing. He moved on top of her with practiced movements. From past experience, he knew how to please her. His movements matched hers. When she moaned with pleasure, he clutched her tighter. His hands pulled her soft, firm ass even closer, until she screamed out loud in pleasure. For a time, they seemed to be struggling against each other, both of them from their prone positions hunched each other with such force that it seemed as if someone would be hurt. Her screams became louder until Billy was sure everyone on the farm could hear them. "God damn, Daddy, don't stop now," she cried out as she felt him beginning to come. He couldn't help himself. It was there, and no matter how he tried, he couldn't stop the nut from crackling. In his final plunge, he managed to reach the certain spot that set her off. Joy tightened her grip on his wide shoulders and rode it out. This was the first time in her life any man had made her reach 4 climaxes. They began, one after the other, until she was weak. Billy remained on top of her, too weak to move. For a minute, he was like a dead man. The exhilaration was gone. All he could do was merely exist. Too weak to move, he remained on top of her as pleasant lethargy overcame him. The couple remained locked together until they heard a noise coming from the living room. "That must be Carol and her fellow," Joy said as she shoved Billy off. "Honey, you can't make a home up there." "I'm big, but not that large," she added, then kissed him on the cheek as he rolled over. It was daybreak before Billy drifted off to sleep. Later on in the afternoon, Kenyatta knocked on the door and entered when Billy called out to him, thinking it was Jackie. "What is this?" Kenyatta yelled out as he came strolling in. "What's the deal here? You people plan on staying in bed all day?" Joy snatched the covers over them quickly, but not quite quickly enough. "Damn, that was a pretty good peep I got. But don't worry, Joy. I've seen tits before. Maybe not quite as large as yours, girl, but enough not to get excited over them." "What brings you out so early?" Billy inquired, trying not to show his irritation. It was foolish of him, he realized, to be angry over Kenyatta's sudden appearance, but he was enjoying himself so much with Joy that he would have disliked anyone's company right at that moment. "Don't worry, my man. This won't take but a few minutes. Then you can get back to whatever you were doing before I came barging in," Kenyatta replied. He walked over to the nightstand and picked up the half-empty cigarette pack. "I'm glad to see someone smokes my brand," he stated as he removed the cigarette from the pack. "Now let's get down to the real deal. I'm getting ready to head back for town, Billy, so I wanted to check with you guys before I left." He waited to see if Billy had anything to say, then continued. "You're welcome to stay out here as long as you like. I'll check back with you by phone about that thing we were talking about." He hesitated, then added, "I was thinking the first of the month would be about the best time, Billy. It seems as if they'd have more bread around then. Do you agree?" "Yeah, man. It seems as if they would be the coolest time to me," Billy answered without too much interest. Kenyatta's eyelids went up. "Hey, my man, what's this shit? You sound as if you don't dig it now. Have you had a change of mind or something?" "Nah, nothing like that, Kenyatta. I just don't have my mind on it, that's all," Billy said and smiled. "Don't worry, brother, I'll get it together. I just had such a wonderful time out here at your place, man, that it seems like I hate to spoil it by worrying about the other shit back in the city." He hesitated, then added, "I can easily see why some of the brothers come out here and don't want to go back. It's too easy to relax out here, away from all the hustle and bustle that goes on back there. Yeah, you can really relax out here." Kenyatta laughed loudly. "Shit, Billy, everything gets tiresome, man. Give you a couple weeks here and you'll be begging to get back to the city. Maybe you just might be right, but I don't really think so," Billy answered him slowly, taking his time and thinking the matter over. "But anyway, I got to take care of that little matter you were talking about. You say the first? Okay then, fix it up for that day." "Beautiful," Kenyatta replied. "I'll handle it. You guys gonna lay out here until then or what?" "Maybe. Just maybe. I haven't given it any thought, Ken, but after talking to Jackie, I'll know. Anywhere it goes, we have our own car, so it won't be no problem for us to get back to the city." Joy spoke up suddenly. "I've got to go into the city sometime this week, honey, and see my little boy." Kenyatta smiled down at the couple. "Well, it looks like you're going to be coming in sooner than you realize after all, huh?" He laughed abruptly. Fuck you, Kenyatta, Billy said good-naturedly. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just woke up and here you were, so I'm not sure of anything. Give me time, man. At least time to wake up good. Who knows, Jackie might even want to go back today. Okay then, Kenyatta said. Just be sure to get in touch with me, that's all. I want to be able to reach you if something should come up, so just keep in touch. He stopped at the doorway. By the way, Billy, I just want you to know, man, that Ali's in charge out here. So if you should have any problems or questions about something, just run him down and he'll be able to put your boots on for you. Oh yeah, if by chance you should want to get in touch with me, as long as it's important, he'll also know where I can be reached, other than at the club. Billy sat up in the bed. Hey Kenyatta, I've been meaning to ask, man, how can I find you if you ain't at the club? You want to give me another address or phone number or something? Kenyatta grinned. Not yet, baby. Not yet, he said and went out the door. The couple in the bed could hear him joking with Jackie, then silence. They didn't waste any more time. They both turned at the same time so that Joy was quickly held in a firm grip. Her arms went around his neck, embracing him tightly.